Hello everyone, Daniel Yuck here. Thank you all for tuning in today. I appreciate you. Today I'm going to bring a video and share with you all some of my dot work secrets, and I'm going to share with you all how I go about achieving dot work within my tattooing. If you have any questions about anything that you see or hear throughout this video, drop it in the comment section below and I'm going to do my best to assist you in the best possible direction. With that being said, let's dive straight on into this. A couple of variables that I am considering upon doing dot work is where I want the darker spots to be, how dark I want my dot work to go in certain areas, and where the dot work is going to be placed at. So let me explain a little bit more on that. I'm going to be running at 6.5 volts. I'm using a Solong 3-round liner right here. And I'm going to begin with applying dot work in this area. I'm also using my Inkclaw Dagger tattoo machine with the masked halo power supply here, for those who are curious on my setup rundown there. And I'm using dynamic black tattooing ink for this demonstration. And when I apply dot work, I always envision where I want the darker areas, and then I envision a barrier where I don't want to go beyond. So I want my darker areas to be down here coming up, and I want a barrier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply some dots right here on the outside, creating a sort of barrier slash wall, whatever we would call it. And I'm going to leave this the normal skin tone color, and everything else going that way is going to have dot work. And this is optional. You don't have to necessarily do this, to each their own. I think it's really artist approach. So I'm gonna do it like that, and then from here I'm gonna continue building off of these dots right here. So up here, I'm gonna go ahead and start laying down my dots, and I do it in dots of 5, like that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I continue, so I'll make like a grid. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna begin over here. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to go ahead and continue accordingly across here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you don't necessarily have to do it like this. I do it like this just because I like how it fills the area. And if I don't get it all the way correct, I'll go in there and manually add a few in between. I do that after I've applied the first layer of dots here. And then I'm going to go ahead and continue this entire process here until I've reached the end over here without crossing that barrier. So you have to be real mindful of where we are and where not to go. And what I'm doing is I'm using just the very tip of my needle. I'm not really trying to get these dots real pronounced and or dark. I want them really light, so I'm just in and out with the very, very tip of my needle. I'm not applying much force at all. So we have the first layer of dots down, and that's exactly how I go about applying dots, and that would apply to every area, even this area, any area I want to apply dot work. That's essentially how I'm going to do it, using 5 points. Now from here, what I do is I can go ahead and take a good look at the canvas, and then I start filling in the areas that are really gapped far apart, just to give it a little bit more something there, because I don't like for there to be too many gaps. I want the dot work to be consistent and even throughout the canvas site. Keeping in mind that I'm just using the very tip of my needle, applying very little pressure to it. Once I'm happy with the first layer that I've done, from here I'll go ahead and double up on the areas that I want a little bit more darker. So right here I do want it darker. I'm just going to continue with those 5 points there. So as you see, I'm starting to build up in this area right here to get darker, and how you want your shading to form is completely up to you. And what I will also do is I'll actually add some stipples there, some whip shades here going this way. And sometimes I'll even start from this area, but for right now we're going to go ahead and start from here. I'm going to bring the shading on in this way to darken up that area up there, since I want this area to be darker. And then I'll do this until I've reached the desired results. And keep in mind, with this approach, the skin is a bit more forgiving because it's not really traumatic on the skin. We're not going straight in with like big round shaders like this. This is an 18 round shader, and we're not going in there pulling just straight lines. What we're doing is we're using the very tip of the needle to go ahead and deposit ink there. And when we do it, we're being really light with the hand, hence why it's not going dark quickly. And I am using straight black ink as well. And then once you've reached the areas that you're happy with, from this point you're just going to build up the shading to your satisfaction. So if you wanted to put some more dots in this area, if you wanted darker dots, to each their own. For me, what I am going to do is I'm going to add some shading to this area down here. I'm going to approach it like so. And then I'm just going to continue building up until I've reached the desired results, essentially. So I'm not afraid to add shading in these areas right here. At first I was, because I thought I would, ruin the look, but over time I'm starting to develop my own sense of what I actually like, and combining dot work with light shading like this has given me some really cool results. So I think that I am in the ballpark of where I want to be here. And that's the idea behind it. That's exactly how I approach dot work. And this would be on human skin as well. The exact same approach is going to apply. Nothing would change besides placement, curvature of the skin, human skin, etc. I could even demonstrate again for you all right here in this little area. So dot work in tighter spaces. So for this tighter spot, I'm actually going to use the entire surface area there instead of making a barrier around. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to begin with the 5 points and fill up the area with the first layer of dots. Once I do that, I clear the way and see what I'm working with. And then from here, I go back and begin building. I want it darker from the bottom coming up, so I'm going to keep that in mind. When I come over here, I'm going to be lighter in the area where I want it lighter. And I'm going to apply some shading as well in the area that I want it darker. And for this, I'm just going to come straight up like this. Like so. Let me focus the camera here. So that is how I go about applying dot work. And again, this is going to be for every single area that we do dot work to. And this is just my approach. Take what you want, leave what you don't. And that right there is how I would go about that area. I guess for demonstration purposes, we can do one more area right here before we conclude the video. And I'm gonna go ahead and run through the motions here again. So what I'm gonna do for this area, I do want there to be a barrier, so I'm going to establish that. And I'm not sure if that's the actual terminology for that, but I'm gonna go ahead and refer to this as the barrier right here. This is a barrier protecting the ink from going over here, because I want that skin to show. Down. And then from here, I just begin with the 5 points. And again, I do the 5 points method because I feel like it consistently covers area for me and is great for building up the dots as well. Five points could be applied in any direction you'd like. You can start this way, that way, anywhere you would want. For me, I always start in the darker area and work my way down. That's just the way that I've done it this far, so I just stuck with that approach. And then I want the darker areas to be up here. So the darker areas that I want, I begin to build up more dot work over there. Sometimes I'll see some open spots and I'll simply kind of skip past that 5-figure and punch in that area real quick and then go back to the spot that I need to be and begin with that 5-figure there again. So you'll see me doing that here as well. This can also have shading, and the shading can go down this way. Or for this aspect, I think putting shading like this would probably be better for me. I want the darker area right here to sit on this side of the rim right there. Like so. Same thing with this side. And how dark you want things is truly up to you. That's, I think, artist taste, artist choice. And at this point, since I've gone through the motions of applying the dot work, it's just about building up to my satisfaction, you know, to how I envision it, how I want it to look. That's all that it is here. I always am mindful of not overworking the skin as well, and I'm also mindful of not going too dark. And since this is a mandala, I always want to keep the same values going all the way around the tattoo as well. So for this right here, I feel like I can go a little bit darker. And I'm going to use shading to do that. Like so. Just like that. And that right there is how I go about applying dot work. Those are some of the secrets that I use to apply dot work like this. This is what this mandala currently looks like. This is what some of the shading looks like at a top glance here. I will post pictures of the final product in the community section of my YouTube channel, so be sure to check that out as well. Now, if I didn't touch base on anything specific, or if you have any questions about anything that you saw or heard throughout this video, I'm going to encourage you to drop a comment down below. I'm going to do my best to assist you in the best possible direction. I also have social medias all under the same name as this YouTube channel. I would truly appreciate your support on there as well. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for me and ring that bell, as I will be bringing more videos like this for you all. Thank you for tuning in yet again. Have a great day.